Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Joss Stone. We have so much to talk about, new records on the way. It's an honor and privilege to be speaking with you. Thank you so much for your time.
That's so lovely. Thank you very much for your time.
It's really cool. Again, we got a lot to talk about, but I'm going to start kind of with an icebreaker question. It has to do with your music, but I'm going to frame it in a way that maybe you haven't been asked about. So basically, like storytelling, like whether you do perform music, whether you make movies, it's all storytelling. What excites Joss Stone about storytelling?
I think that's kind of the stuff of life. It's funny you asked me that because my dad says, stories, Joss. Collect stories, go on trips, find memories and tell stories and help people laugh and cry and feel like they're not alone. Yeah. And that's really what I do.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Yeah. Is it I guess different songs, different albums, there's different kind of mindsets. This one's coming out February 11th. It's so exciting. You know, you had the opportunity to work with Dave Stewart on this. What's the mindset for this record specifically?
This one, I wanted it to be like classy and dramatic.
Yeah.
That's what I was going for. And I hope that that's what we achieved. I think it's because I was working a few years prior. I sang with Burt Bacharach for a live show in London. Mm-hmm. And all those songs, oh my goodness, like the Dusty Springfield songs specifically are like my favorite. Dionne Warwick, you know, Walk On By and all this stuff. It's like, it's soulful, but they're very dramatic. You don't have to say you love me. I'm like, wow, these are amazing songs. So I said to Dave, do you think we could make a record like that? He said, yeah, let me get the guitar. Let's do it.
Absolutely.
And then we wrote a bunch of songs, and now I think it's really cool.
But am I right to say that depending on kind of the environment and who you're working with and the kind of approach of the songs, like different kind of experiences and different mindsets are going to happen with each release, Joss? Am I right by saying that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with each release, what you're doing is you're really pulling out a page or a chunk of your diary at that time. So, you know, if I was going to play you my first record, that would be my diary when I was like 15. So of course it's different. Yeah. You know, the sounds of the time are different then. And also your ideas were different and your relationships were different. Now it's like, I feel like I've lost a lot of the worry. Yep. I think. In past records, I've always been like, oh God, are people going to like this? Is this really the right thing? Or I think it has to be a little bit cooler. Let's not go too cheesy. You know, you've got all that almost like insecurities. Yeah. I don't have that anymore. I think I'm too old and too boring. I do not have it. I'm just like, this is what we are.
This is it.
Yeah.
This is actually a question I was really excited to ask you when I got this interview confirmed, because one of my favorite things about music nowadays is all the genre bending happening. I feel like people aren't kind of staying in one box. They're kind of throwing a lot of elements into music. Yeah. One can make an argument. I mean, you have been doing that for quite some time. You were not afraid as an artist to kind of put these sounds together that weren't necessarily one specific thing. So I'm curious, you look at all the amazing music out there now, what do you think about all the genre bending happening now, Joss, knowing that you were doing that for quite some time prior to that?
Do you know what? I'm just glad that it's happening. I think that we should do that with everything. Yep. We should do that with food. And I mean, look at all the fusion stuff. We are actually doing it. Yep. So of course with music and with languages, I mean, even some languages are getting all mixed up and making one. It's like, it's insane. It's beautiful. I do think music is such a kind of lovely friend to everyone. It doesn't judge. It's not going to tell you that you're wrong. Yep. As long as you're in tune, you're all right. You can put a tabla on any of the records that I played, and it's like, oh my God, that's a drum from a distant land, but it sounds like it fits. Yep. I remember when we the sarod on one of the songs in Water for Your Soul, and it was like, wow, that is so lush. Like, it definitely should be there. But because I sing soul music, R&B, it's like, why are you doing that? Now, when I had my issues with the record labels when I was younger, I was like going to war with them because they wouldn't let me do the shit I wanted to do. So one of the things that I had an issue with was the wording that said artist will make 3 records, all will be in keeping with the last one. So it's written, or was written in contracts, that you had to make almost the same record 3 times. That is so boring. Mm-hmm. I do not want to do that. No. It's boring. You don't have to. You can still be soulful. You can be soulful on any style of music. I don't care what the rhythm is. It's going to be lovely as long as you mean it.
Yeah, I'm sure like soul and R&B is what, like, if someone was stopped on like the street, they were like, what genre of music does Joss Stone play? They'd probably say like R&B is soul, but some of your songs are a little bit more like, kind of have a little bit of like the alternative feel, the rock feel. I feel like you have it. Like, I feel like there's a lot going on.
Indian. We've got like hip hop, we've got jazz, we've got all sorts. We've got it all going on.
But I don't see why you have to limit yourself. And I'm so excited to be chatting with an artist that has done so many amazing things that paved the way for a lot of that, honestly. Like, I think, it's amazing. Is it cool also? I mean, you obviously don't think about this, but now you're going to obviously think about it because I'm asking you the question, right? Because you got to go in. But like, a lot of your songs, because of, airplay and like streaming music and everything, like there's no shelf life really. Like, they're kind of always around. Like, songs you wrote 10 years ago can be played like instantly right now. Is it cool to think about the fact that a lot of your songs like don't really have a shelf life?
That is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I never really, like you said, I never really thought about it.
Yeah, I set it up basically.
I think it's funny. I didn't think about it, but it is true. So if you do music that is like deliberately within the times of what's popular on the radio at that moment, you do run a little bit of a risk of making it like a novelty record that only sits in that time. Yep. But if it's good and the musicians are good and the mix is good and your vocals are good and the words you're saying are like not too specific, sometimes they can just be general. Yeah. Then you can play that song 100 years from now and people will go, oh, that's good. And that's all you want. You want it to be enjoyable to the ear. Yeah. And I think with electronic music, that can become quite dated. Yep. But again, if it's good, it's good. It's not going to ever stop.
Yeah, 100%. But I do feel like you have artists. Like, I've interviewed artists that are like, you know what? Like, I never had kind of like an electronic like component to my songs before, and I was talking to my team and I wanted to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it was like different, but like I wanted to try it. You know what I mean?
You want to try it? Yeah. Do you know what I've always secretly, and I will one day because I'm not afraid to go from genre to genre, as you've noticed. I've secretly always wanted to do a drum and bass record. How sick would that be? I would love it. But none of my fans would really like it, but I would like it.
It's so interesting. It's so interesting. And that's why I kind of started it with like the storytelling question, because I feel like a lot of questions that you're going to be asked about the music, how you started everything. And when you kind of think of it as storytelling, Joss, I feel like it becomes a whole different thing, because then it becomes like, how are you going to kind of like, what are the songs going to be about? But most importantly, what is the story going to sound like, right? That's kind of what we're talking about, basically.
Yeah, because that's the feeling. Yeah. So you're giving someone a feeling. Yep. It's okay to talk about something sad. Mm-hmm. You have to help them feel. For me, this is just my choice. Like, it's funny, I was just talking about this similarly a second ago with this guy. There is different style of music for different things. Mm-hmm. So like, Eminem, remember when he came out when I was young, he came out with these songs that were so rude and horrible, and it was brilliant, of course, because he got a reaction out of all of us. But what he did was he helped us feel angry, and sometimes that's what you need. But I have to make choices every time I write a song. How do I want people to feel? I don't want them to feel angry. I want them to feel like empowered. That's my job, you know. So there's an artist for every feeling and every moment. I might not be the artist for all the feelings that you need, but there will be.
Yeah.
There will be someone somewhere helping you. Like, there's that song. Actually, Violet is one of my daughter's favorite songs. The Isley Brothers, Fight the Power.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. She loves that song. It's so good. It's so like, it makes you feel like full of empowerment, and you need that some days.
Well, it's like kind of what you said with Eminem. It's emotion, it's reaction, and it's power. Mm-hmm. It's kind of all those things, which that could be like, if you were like, name 3 things that have to do with kind of music, or like the kind of stimulation that music kind of gives you. That's what it is basically. Which is pretty it's pretty simple if you think about it.
Yes.
Kind of obvious.
Very.
Before we wrap up, I just want you, what can we expect from this new record specifically? I mentioned, you worked with Dave, but before we wrap up, what can you tell us about what we can expect from this new record?
Well, I would hope that people will feel like it's a beautifully put together piece of work. Yeah. That's really what I really want people to take away from it. Like, oh wow, I hope that they get goosebumps at least once or twice when they're listening to it. Yeah. Because I certainly did when I made it, and that doesn't always happen with me, So these are a group of stories that are very honest. Some of them are very sad, but life can be, so that's okay. But there's a few on there that one I actually wrote. Most of them I wrote with Dave last year or in 2020. And there's one song on there that I wrote like 10 years ago.
Wow.
I never put out because I was too emotional about it. And now I feel like I can do that now.
And it's going to be on this record.
Yeah. It's called You Couldn't Kill Me.
Wow.
And it's like, actually, I feel really strong in that story now. But I know I'm not the only one that went through it. Mm-hmm. So I just hope people get comfort from it, man. And I hope they enjoy it.
February 11th, it's going to be available. Joss Stone, thank you so much for your time. It was so great chatting with you.
Thank you. Lovely chatting with you too. And I love hearing your accent.
Absolutely. And it's people can keep up to date with everything, right? On social media, right? Instagram, that's where they could find you.
Yep, I'm there. I'm on Insta and Facebook and Twitter and all that jazz.
Just search Joss Stone and they'll find it, right? How easy is that?
Yeah. Very easy, yeah.
This has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes, audio only versions of our episodes wherever you listen to podcasts, popternative.com as well. Joss Stone's new record, February 11th. Look out for that. Until next time, this is Joss and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.